it was quite the experience, like just taking it all in and like being there and like I just remember like doing the B-roll and like being in the Luxor and there's just the grandeur of like seeing Mount Midoriyama in person. Like I refused for all the time. Like everybody would go there and test and whatever. I'm like, I refuse to go there unless I earn myself a ticket to go there.
How was how was your day, mate? What was going on?
It was a long day. I this morning I went to go help my godmother. She was moving some couches, so of course, you got to call the muscle in the family whenever you got to move some furniture around. So, I went over there, helped her move some couches, and then started my day over at Grit. And yeah, did a bunch of classes with the kids, and then we had some team practice and course runs, and then yeah, so it was a long day for me today.
Oh man, I could yeah, it sounds like a long day. My day is a little more chill, so I won't go into it. But thank you so
Good,
much for also styling the mustache as well. So for those who
absolutely.
are listening, you cannot see this greatness, but when I when I post this on YouTube, you can see the stash.
There
Um,
you go.
yeah, mate. So where do we begin, man? Like, man, we met when 2 years ago, I think. It was 2 years
Yep,
ago?
out in
You
Perth.
you and a huge contingent of strong ninjas came and took us on and did very well. I think you guys took out most of the Australian ninjas actually, if I remember correctly.
We brought some good competition out there. Unfortunately, I didn't put up my best effort after injuring myself on my first day. Uh, literally landed and go straight to the gym and injure myself. So that wasn't the best idea, but
you
it
had
happens.
you had the best trip though, right?
Oh man, I was just saying it to Henry today. Actually, I was like, I cannot wait to go back to Australia. Like I think about it all the time. I just am just dying to come back. It's such an epic location.
And it's a shame because you only went to, one city on one side. We have a whole
Oh my
East Coast,
goodness.
man. That's nothing
I
against
know.
Perth. That's where it's at. It's one of
Yeah,
the
I mean, I can't wait to explore the whole rest of the continent. I mein, it's huge, so it's going to take a long time and a lot of trips to come out there and see it all.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, I had the pleasure of enjoying your hospitality this year. We had a epic sort of adventure driving from Grit to Connecticut, and then we trained with Joe Morosky, or as I like to call him, Corona Joe. Well,
Yeah, I think that was pretty funny. I mean, for sure, like that one night was like it was a little suspect. A little suspect. He was, definitely looking a little fluish, but he was fine. But he's the weatherman. He can push through anything.
oh, absolutely.
Little flu doesn't hurt him.
No, not a chance. For those that were listening, this was before everything went crazy. And I was just, as I was saying, Lucy and I went to Connecticut to train with Joe Morosky, and Joe was like coughing. He was sick. He's like, "Don't worry, it's not Corona. It's not Corona." And then
Yeah,
he,
that was funny, but that
yeah,
was a good time. I mean, we like you had just gotten in that day, and then we like immediately just took off like right to that gym, went and did some training, and then right after that we went. It was like what, like 1 o'clock in the morning.
oh,
We went
it was
back. We
something.
went back to Grit, and then we were doing Angry Birds. We were doing lightning bolts. We were doing Mega Wall. I mean, crushing it.
Oh man, it was. I was not in a good way to put it.
And then we got back, and then I cooked dinner. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Man, that was epic, man. So Lucio, for those who don't know, Lucio is a chef, and he's a wicked cook. Made some amazing homemade burgers. I don't think I could have asked for a better meal, to be honest. After all that,
Oh, I appreciate it. Just simple, nothing crazy, but sometimes simple's best. Just a
oh,
little recovery.
absolutely, absolutely. So Lucio, take me back. I mean, we obviously had lots of chats in the car, but those who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself. So take me back to when you were young. What kind of kid were you? Were you super active? Were you a gamer? Were you super nerdy? Were you inside? What kind of kid were you? growing up?
Oh man, I don't know if I could reach the picture. I actually have a picture like really close by. Hold on, let me see if I can grab it. Huzzah! This is me as a kid right there.
Oh, well, there we go. It's all explained.
So, yeah, pretty adventurous, always hanging upside down and climbing trees, and I think it was pretty much destiny from the beginning for me to find this ninja world and really take off in it. Um, that's yeah, always a very athletic background growing up as a kid, and then I played hockey my whole life since I was 4, ice hockey and inline hockey. So hockey was the main sport. I never really dabbled in anything else. I mean, I could have probably been an elite swimmer with my ridiculous wingspan and my flipper size 15 shoes. But yeah, um, but hockey was the main go-to sport, and always excelled really well in that. And in high school, we made the state championships. I was an assistant captain on the team.
Awesome.
And then afterwards continued on through college years. I didn't play in college for ice hockey. I actually stopped playing ice hockey and picked up inline hockey. Played semi-pro inline hockey for quite a few years, and then in the American Inline Hockey League. And then we weren't getting paid, so it was just really high-level play. A lot of fun traveling all over the East Coast playing in that.
Mm.
And then basically once I found Ninja, kind of started putting hockey skates to the side and pursuing this a little bit more. And then I'd say about last year when I made it to Vegas was the year that I decided to hang it up for good. I mean, I still play occasionally, like some fun pickup games, but I stopped playing competitively for hockey because it's like, this is a better opportunity for me, and hockey was kind of a dead end. But
Mm.
it'll still always be like my first love as an athlete.
Mm.
But that's where my background mostly comes from, athlete wise, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, you personally, you have so many different unique hobbies that people don't even know, they don't even realize. So we'll probably touch on those. But how did you discover
Yeah.
Ninja? How
Um,
did it happen?
Yeah, so basically, it was, I think, well, for us, like in American Ninja Warrior time frame, it was probably about season 7 when I decided to okay, I'm gonna try this. Let's go to a gym, and I'm gonna explore this. I mean, I've been a fan since like as everybody else will say, since it was on Sasuke. I've been watching it forever. As a fan and always looked up to a lot of the greats, watching back in the day, Ryan Stratus, Jamie Ron, all those top guns back in the day. And I always wanted to do it, just never knew where to start, where to go to. And I'd say about season 7, I remember it was like beginning of season 7, end of season 6. I was dating this girl at the time, and we were just looking for somewhere fun to go. And I stumbled across this gym in Pennsylvania called Icor, and the owner Mark was super friendly, and he took me in and he showed me how, like, what the place is all about. And I still have the original footage of like doing the Sam ladder for the first time and doing the warp wall. I mean, like I was able to complete the Sam ladder and the warp wall my first try. However, when I look back, it's so cringeworthy. I can't even like watch it sometimes because it's just so bad. And
Isn't that
uh,
funny?
yeah, but that was my first foray into ninja, and it was definitely a good time, and I'm glad that I took the leap finally all that time later.
That's crazy. Well, hey, at least you got something on Naja. He was telling me it took him like 10 go. It took him 10 times to get the warp wall or something, and he couldn't do the
You know,
salmon ladder or something
he's
like that.
actually he's actually one of the first ninjas I ever met because he used to work at Icor, and
Ah.
that when I met him was actually shortly after he had just begun his ninja career. He had competed, I think it was in oh, now I can't remember the region. It might have been Baltimore at the time, and he had went out early. He went out on the balance obstacle, Snake Run. It was like icy, and
Mm.
he went out early that year, and it was kind of like this potential superstar that nobody even knew yet at the time. And
Crazy.
this was like the start of his career. And then, obviously years later he crushed it. But like back then, it just goes to show that like even the best of the best can, go out early. It's thankfully they gave him another shot because look what wound up happening.
Oh, absolutely. His story was so fascinating to hear. But so that was your first introduction, and then I've obviously I guess in some ways the rest is history. You took it on, but how did you? Because I speak to different people, and it's interesting hearing their perspective after that first session. So that first session for you, you didn't feel like, man, this is too hard. I couldn't do it. Like, did any of that go through your mind at all?
No, I mean, I feel like because of my just normal athletic background, like prior to finding Ninja Warrior, I was looking for another outlet for my athleticism. I was really big into bodybuilding at the time, um, and I was very muscle bound, like really stocky build. So like most of the stuff I was doing was, it was difficult because I was carrying around a lot more muscle weight than I needed to. um, I was at the point where like bodybuilding was not fun anymore,
Mm,
and in order to take it to the next level, I was going to have to take things I didn't want to put in my body. So
mm,
that's why like Ninja was like the perfect outlet. It was a good way for me to exercise and um, like really push myself in a new direction. So that was great. And then yeah, so for the most part, I mean, that's kind of the evolution for me and like where it came from. And but I didn't really feel like it was too difficult, I guess, because like I said, I already had the athletic background, the muscle development. Like a lot of people always like joking, like say like my lock off is like my biggest strength. Sometimes it's my biggest weakness because I default to it on obstacles I shouldn't be.
mm.
But most of that comes from the years of training in bodybuilding, have that background.
Interesting. That's not something you'd normally associate lock off strength with. So
Yeah.
must have been something real different. Um, so after that first session, did you go back to I Court to start training, or how did you find yourself in the community?
So yeah, so basically, I did go back a few times because at the time the girl I was dating was living in Pennsylvania or
Uh,
going to school in Pennsylvania. So I was back and forth there quite often. So I'd be training there most weekends and hanging out with the other ninjas who were training there, and that really kind of got me hooked into it. And then once I started like getting more familiar, I realized that there was this thing starting called the National Ninja League, which at the time was its first inaugural season.
wow.
And I was like, I really want to get involved in this. So I did my first ever NNL event at ICOR. And I actually think I did pretty well from my recollection. I think I was like somewhere in the top 10 or in that ballpark. And I just remember like that day was like really intimidating because a lot of the people I had looked up to um, before doing Ninja were there. Like Mike Bernardo was competing and Sean Darling Hammond and Najee Richardson. Like these people, I was like, oh my God, like that's Mike Bernardo. Like he's like one of the best. And like I have to compete against this dude. And like it was super intimidating. And but I just remember like I wore like I had like my little Moustache Ninja t-shirt that I made and like, but it was fun. And that was kind of like my introduction to like competitive Ninja Warrior.
And what was that experience like for you? That first comp?
Um, it was insanely intimidating. I remember like I had definitely had like ridiculous pit sweats. And just so nervous, like shaky, and getting to the starting block. I don't think it'll ever change. Like I don't know. For me, like no matter what the level of competition is, I definitely always feel a little bit nervous when I get to the starting block, whether it's a local comp, if I'm just messing around with friends at the gym, or it's, stepping to the starting block in Vegas. I mean,
Mm,
no matter what level, like there's always that level of a little bit of nerves. But that day, like, after my run, like I still remember like where the obstacle I failed. And it's kind of funny now because like I would have like if that obstacle was, I would demolish that obstacle now. But like it was just like it was basically like these PVC pipes vertical like nunchuck pipes that
Oh,
were on a runner, and you slid them across a pipe, and you had to do like kind of like an S shape around the bars, like using those sliders.
oh
And then like
wow,
I would absolutely demolish that obstacle now, but like back then, like I gassed out. It was like right before the salmon ladder, and it was like that, the salmon ladder, and the warp wall. So
wow,
I almost cleared the course on my first ever competition. I was pretty close.
wow. That's epic. It's funny. Doesn't matter what it is, especially when it's like the first comps or like the show. You obviously remember every obstacle you failed on. It's seared in your brain, and
Every comp.
and and I think even now, 3 years on, I still think about season one. I'm like, man, I was so close to hitting a buzzer. All I had to do was this move, or season two. I felt like I was going to clear, but I got DQ'd, and it's like, man, all I had to do is move off on this angle, and I would have finished. It still eats at you even 3 years on.
Forever.
Oh
I don't think
man,
they'll ever go away.
no, I don't
Always
think so.
haunt
I'll
you.
be 75 and like, I still reckon I can. So, what was going on leading up to your first season? So, had you applied multiple times, hadn't gotten on? What's the story leading up to your first ever
So yeah,
season?
so I remember, so season 7, like I said, was like the year I said I'm gonna go for this. And I remember watching that year. Like I was actually, I remember watching the final, and watching the climb off between Jeff and Isaac. And that was the tipping point. Like watching somebody become the first American Ninja Warrior was like, whoa, like
Mm,
that was epic, right? And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I've been to a gym now. I've trained for a while. I've seen somebody win this damn thing. I know it's possible. Let me submit. So season 8, I put together the most terrible submission. Like it's embarrassing. Like I don't even want to watch it. Like again, like it was so trash, and like no wonder why I didn't get casted. Right? It was cringeworthy. But I didn't get cast that year. I went to test, and I had a good time testing. Um, I failed the paddle boards. That year was in Philly, season 8. I went to go test, and I failed obstacle 3, which is the paddle boards. And I got like they gave me a full run, and of course I messed up on the third obstacle like a doofus. And yeah, and I remember because Moravsky was on the sidelines, and at this point, like I had trained with him a few times, and like he knew that I had like good capabilities of doing decent on the show. And like he's on the sideline, he's like, "Don't mess this up, Lucio. Don't mess it up." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like Joe's yelling at me, like I can't mess this up. And then I got through the first obstacle. I got through the next obstacle, which was like the log drop, like holding on. And then I'm like, all right, these paddle boards, super intimidating. Like I have to have like quick agility. And here I go. I get like almost through the whole thing, hit the ending platform and fall back in the water. And I was like,
no.
oh, like so embarrassed. Like I just let everybody down. Like the producers are probably like, we're not gonna ever cast this scrub. But but yeah, so I didn't let that put me down. I mean I had a great time watching my friends that year in season 8 compete. And then season 9, I luckily I got the call, which was an awesome feeling to finally get casted. It only took, that was my second time applying, so that was a great feeling to get cast. I know plenty of people try like year on end and don't get it.
Mm,
Um, and I think what was funny for me is like obviously a lot of people like know that like I have this crazy mustache, and they think that that's like the whole reason for like the thing on the show. And like I didn't grow this mustache to be on American Ninja Warrior.
oh
And
no,
like
no, you're much more than that.
yeah, and like when and that year, like when I was on, one of the producers, Anthony Storm, one of the questions he asked me during my interview was, "Did you grow this mustache for to be on American Ninja Warrior?" And I was like, I couldn't have grown a mustache in like it took me 4 years to grow this mustache. Like it wasn't like I was like, let me grow a mustache to be on American Ninja Warrior. Like, no, this is part of who I am and has been a part of who I am for a long time.
Mm.
So
So that's awesome. So what was we'll go into mustache and all that stuff. But what was that moment like for you? So season 9, get the call, you're there. What city was it?
it was Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. What was the weather like, if you
So
remember?
as so of course every time I've competed on the show, so 2 years now, It was literally freezing that year. And if you know my costume, it's basically like underwear. I wear a cape like on the sidelines, but I don't wear that on the course. But it was freezing cold. Like wind chill it had to be like 30 something degrees that night.
Oh
Just
man.
absolutely bitter. Um, and of course, like your first ever time here on the big show, it's like, it's intimidating. Like here are these people you've been looking up to your whole like life watching on TV, and now you're competing side by side with them on the real deal. Like the lights, the cameras are on, like
Mm,
oh my God, like your heart starts to beat like you're waiting in line. Here you go. You hand in your ticket, like show off to the camera. You step up onto the starting block. You get the countdown. Your heart's like, oh my God, this is unfriggin' real. And I just remember like being in the moment, like I'm on the ascending steps, the quad steps,
mm,
and I'm like going through and like I feel like I completely blanked out and just like went into like overdrive. I'm just going. I'm just going.
mm,
Like I didn't remember like thinking about anything else once I touched the course.
mm.
Like I think the first step I was on, I was like, oh my God, I'm on the course. I'm on American Ninja Warrior right now. This is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Um, but after that, it was just like super laser focused.
Mm. Oh man,
Yeah,
I miss that feeling. I feel like I mean, I think I could be wrong. Obviously, I only competed 2 seasons, but I think it's only the first season you really feel like that. Just that
I think
mega. If you get that
yeah, I would agree. The only other time I really felt that way was this past like well not this past season well because obviously I was originally casted and decasted but
mm,
for season 11 when I was casted again
mm,
when I made it to Vegas that's when I felt it again because it was
a new level.
like I felt like I was like a kid again like I was like this is Vegas like what this I'm in Vegas right now and like I'm on the starting block and it was just like the nerves like all flooded me and I'm like this is oh my God like this is wild right now like this is the finals and I'm here and it's
Yeah.
but that feeling kind of came back and I don't know like if I got back there again if I would feel that same way like probably because it's such an honor
Mm,
to be able to be there so
yeah. Probably because obviously it was the next level of the experience. I'm guessing.
exactly
Um,
yeah
because I remember season 2 for me, I definitely didn't feel. I felt good, but I didn't feel that same almost like high because it was the nerves and the excitement blended into one, which created
mm,
this like huge adrenaline hit. But I don't know. I think it peaked at the right time, but it was such a surreal feeling. I mean, because you have the crowds. In Australia, we tend to have the crowds on one side, but I think in the other cities, obviously in the US, like you'd have people on both sides. So I'm sure the crowd is even more magnified. But
well it's similar we have like on the one side is all like the producers and the cameras and everything
oh,
and then on
really?
the
Oh, okay.
opposite yeah so on the opposite side of the course it's all the fans but like they run the entire length of the course
Yeah, I thought there were people on both sides. I don't know. Maybe I must be thinking of something
well
else.
there's some like I mean celebrity VIP people who can be on the other side but for the most part they're on the one side
Mm, okay. So how did you do that? How did you do in that for your first season? How did you go?
oh
So
embarrassing
good.
that's the one I'll never live down because I felt like that course like in particular was so in my wheelhouse to clear
Mm,
and the obstacle I failed on was just something I'd never encountered like the movement um but I was just murking it like the I got to it as the ring hopper and in previous seasons so I don't know this is something that like is out there in the ether but because of the Northeast being like having some of the strongest depth of ninjas not necessarily the strongest overall but we
mm.
have so many top level like let's say like 50 people might clear a course in the
Yeah. Wow.
Northeast so like
Yeah.
they have to make courses hard like
Mm,
hard and so sometimes they put things or they change certain rules for certain things. So in previous seasons, that same obstacle, like in LA the season before, you could take both rings and use them to get advanced down as far as you could with the other ring. And I mean, with my wingspan, if I did that, I would have been like off the obstacle in like one move. Um, but they force us, the producers force us to get the first ring to the top over the last spike before we could engage the next ring, and we had to leave the other ring. Like you
Wow.
couldn't advance the next ring further without letting go. And the technique, when I got to that next ring, in my brain I was like, oh, I'm going to use the same technique. The next one, I was like, oh, I'll do the same thing. I'll go backwards. And then for some reason I like panicked. And then I tried to do the same swing pattern as the way up for the way down, and it wasn't working. And I started panicking and like trying to muscle it because I was strong, like upper body. I'm like, oh, I'll just muscle through the movement. And it wasn't working. I mean, it was like a 12-inch rod that you had to get the ring over.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't something I had ever experienced or done in training. So I definitely panicked a little bit, and I was able to actually get it over that one. But by the time I got over that one, I was so pumped that like I was just kind of like hanging straight arm. And I just remember looking down at the water and being like, I can't fail right now. This is like, I'm doing well. I'm on obstacle 4, one obstacle left. And I looked at the dismount platform and I'm like, it's like a 14-foot lache.
Far
Like,
out.
and like the obstacle's like at an angle. So I'm like, if I throw, this is either going to be like the most epic fail and I'm going to smash my face on the
Yeah.
truss, and Matt Knockbar are going to be like, oh, like what if like this is like my blood's going to be, I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit this platform and it's going to be the most epic dismount of all time. But I fell off into the water. So, you know,
You spent too long thinking.
yeah, so my first season wasn't the greatest showing of like what I was capable of. I really just made a huge mental error, and I didn't get to show like what I was truly capable of physically. But that's okay, like just rookie like mistake, just not knowing how to like handle or have a game plan or plan B for that matter. So I mean, that happens. I think for me personally, like mentality wise, that's always been my biggest weakness I've struggled with in this sport. If I could keep an even keel with my mental game, then I feel like I would be a lot more successful.
Very interesting. I think it's a common occurrence. You know, speaking with some of the other people, Joe Capron from the last episode, and same thing. Like for him, his mental game was his sort of biggest weakness, and it really makes a difference. It kind of really is the difference between, I think, the super, like your Joes and your Daniel Gills, who can consistently
Like on the money.
just make it in that top level. And you know, you look at and I think one thing with Joe, and speaking with him, like whenever I did, I think it was earlier this year, and he's just he just knows he has it. He just knows he has it no matter what it is. He's
confident.
got it. So confident. I love it. It was a super valuable lesson to learn.
He's the one person, like, and I'm sure we'll get to like my season 11 at some point, but like he's the one person that like when I strive to like excel, he's the person that like I always like look at, like I need to be better than this person. It's Joe Moravsky, because like he's great. He's consistent. He's mentally strong. And like if you want to be the best, you have to aspire to be better than the best, right? Like you have to have something to shoot for. And like he's always been the benchmark of like I need to try to be better than him. And like of course, like there's a lot of things I'm never going to be better than him in.
Oh, of
And
course.
then but there's going to be things that I could definitely excel in and beat him in. But that's just how it goes. I mean, but he's the one I always look to for like, this is the one I gotta strive to be better or achieve or aspire to be like.
No, 100%, 100% know what you mean. So what was the lessons you took away from that first season that you competed on? So did you test the rest of the show?
So I, so I didn't. I think I was like, I was so. It was a stupid decision not to, honestly. Like I should have tested for city finals,
Mm,
and shown what I was capable of. I was so taken back that I failed so early, and that I felt like I let people down. That I just remember like kind of just reclusing myself and not wanting to step back out on the course.
mm,
Um, Now thinking back on that, it's foolish because like anytime you get an opportunity to try out obstacles on the show, you go and you try out obstacles on the show. That's how you get better. And like that's you're feeling things, you're seeing how things are rigged, the mechanics behind them, just like that realistic feeling. And like in retrospect, bad decision. But yeah,
mm.
I chose to like not do it. I was just kind of really in a way a bad funk. You know, you train all year for something, and it was my first time, and I thought I was going to do better, and I did. So
Yeah, it can be hard to take, I guess, especially when you put all that pressure on yourself to do well, and you know you can, but it's like constant battle between what you're what's possible, like your potential versus, but what if I don't live up to that? And it's like a tug of war. I know what you
yep.
mean. So, what did you go back and start working on? So, what did you start to do? How did you get to that next level to get ready for season 11?
Um, well, I basically started to seek out the like other people who were in my area who were like top level ninjas. Um, you know, one of them in the area I used to go to a lot, and you know, was training under for quite a long time, um, and helped me grow tremendously in the sport. And then, you know, Joe is another one who was also at that gym a lot that we were training together with. You know, another person that I obviously took like an homage to my own image is Jamie Ron. I mean, as a superhero character on the show, I always looked up to Jamie. And he's just such a all around amazing athlete and human being. Like just
Mm,
his like overall composure and the way he presents himself, um, on and off the course, and you know, the like just trying to emulate and understand like how other people are, and like how that translates to the course, right? Like,
mm,
so maybe there's a reason that these people are so successful, not just because they're talented athletes, but maybe there's something else to it. Like they have strong mental games, their confidence, their, I mean, of course they have years of experience, but like there's more to it. Like, and you could see that. Like
mm,
they embody what the sport is.
mm,
So yeah, so I just spent a lot of time just like bouncing around to different places, and you know, building relationships with other ninjas, and training with them, and learning new styles. I think like for me as an athlete in this sport, I didn't come from a background in gymnastics. I didn't come from a background in parkour.
mm,
So a lot of those movements for me are foreign. You know, so like if I'm trying to do certain, like if I see something on the show that's like I've never attempted this before, it intimidates me for sure. Not like a high flying, you know, I'm a bigger ninja. I'm 6'2", and I'm like 185, 90 pounds depending on the day. So, you
mm,
know, throwing myself through the air and catching a, you know, a little ledge, like a hidden blind grab is not something that I'm 100% comfortable with, but you know, I
mm.
train and push myself for that.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with those big hands, man. I'm sure you could miss some. For those of you who are listening, you cannot understand how big this man's hands are. It's ridiculous. I would dare say his whole hand would enclose my head. It's
I
insane.
guess that's part of the secret to my overall grip strength. I mean, I would go out and say like right here on this, like right now, that pound for pound, I don't think there's another ninja on this planet that has grip strength akin to mine. Like overall, just overall grip strength, not just like cliffhangers and like just throw it down. I'll go on. We'll lift things up. We'll squeeze things, whatever. Like I will put them down.
That actually, off topic, that'd actually be a really cool little comp, like a bit like a strongman slash ninja, but ninja orientated sort
Yeah.
of competition. So, you have to, farmer carry whatever with fat chucks attached to the way or something like, I don't know, like just the whole range. That actually would be quite cool, actually. I think I would
I mean, of course, having like really big hands helps with a lot of the things. So like, I do have some custom made things from some different companies that I get in. Like,
mm,
um, I have like 4-inch thick rolling thunder handles, like two of them side by side from Arm Assassin, which is a company that we work with Monstro. And I put them on the Napalm Nightmare, which is like it's a basically a rod, and it has two free spinning handle grips. So I have two 4-inch ones, which there's nothing really like that out there. But like
mm.
to even hang from that is like just disgusting. Like it's so hard. But I love things like I live for that type of challenge. Like
Oh yeah.
I want to be like the one who could say like I did that, or like send me something that's so hard no one else can do it. I want to do it.
Well, I think you're probably the best person for it. I don't think anyone has I mean, I don't even think Ashland's hands are as. I mean, his are meaty and thick, and they're huge. But I don't think they're as like
Yeah.
long. It's like a daddy long leg spider. It's insane.
Yeah,
Oh
for
man.
sure.
So, what happened for season 11? So you didn't get on season 10. So you had a whole nother year of training. What was
Yeah.
what was going into
I'm
that
not gonna
season?
I was really bitter about season 10.
Mm,
When I didn't like I feel like because I did poorly on season 9, like they kind of like gave me like the pass in season 10, and
mm,
I was so eager to go back and like prove myself that like that whole year I trained so hard, and I'm like I'm going to show them, I'm going to come back and be the best I can be. um and like when I got casted in season 11, I was like this is the year I'm going to like prove myself. And like I knew like at that point like mentally like I had honed in everything like I needed to a point where like I was feeling confident.
mm.
And the night of the qualifiers, I remember stepping onto the course and I just felt like this calm. So when I put on the reason actually I didn't go into this, but the reason I wear that costume is I do have like pretty bad anxiety, but for whatever reason, when I put that outfit on, I feel very at ease. Like it comforts me almost to like feel that way. Um, so when I put that on, it kind of helps with that feeling. And when I stepped up on the starting block, it was just one of those things where like my storyline that year was when I had competed in season 9. My father wasn't able to be there with us because he had suffered a mild heart attack and he wasn't there. And it was like this year he was able to actually be there in person, which is like awesome because he's always been like my biggest supporter like through my entire sports career.
Yeah, I
Like he's
love your
always
dad,
been there.
man.
Yeah, he's just
Top
an all
top
around great.
bloke.
Yeah, all around great guy. And like anybody who knows him, he's just super loud and boisterous. Like I mean, he gives Henry a run for his money, and Henry's a loud guy, right? And I just remember like I stepped up onto the starting block that night and I was ready to go, and I was feeling a little nervous. I was like, this is my chance to like redeem myself. And
Mm,
I remember hearing like where I was standing to where my dad was standing was so far away. Like they had them basically standing like all the way past like basically like obstacle 3 or 4.
mm.
And I just remember hearing like really loud, like he was just like, "Let's go, Lucha!" And he's like screaming like so loud, and like I could just hear it, and like instantly, like I got like chills, and I was like I just like yeah, let's go, like let's do this right
Yeah.
now, and like made me like get in the zone like really hard.
Mm.
And I just remember just taking off like a bat out of hell. Like I'm like I'm gonna demolish this course. And like obstacle 2, like come on, they gave me twist and fly, like 2 mustache handles. Like oh, like you're giving me my obstacle right now. I'm like I'm going through this one. And then yeah, I think like for me it's like anytime you crush like a balance obstacle on the show is like that's the best feeling. Like as somebody
Mm.
who has good grip, like if I get through the balance, like I feel really confident. um And I just remember like getting to the fifth obstacle, and I'm like, oh my God, I have a chance. Like I could clear this course, hit my first buzzer.
Mm,
Um, and I'm on obstacle 5, right? And bringing back to the point where you asked earlier about the course and like the temperature,
mm.
dude,
Oh,
coldest I've ever competed in. It
oh.
was terrible. So like they don't show obviously like in the clips, but right before the obstacle 5, and no, one of the other obstacles, they gave us like little blowers, like hand warmers, because it was
Hmm.
so cold.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just remember I'm standing in front of the hand warmer, like trying to like because as we just talked about, I have really skinny long fingers, so they get cold real easy. So
Mm.
I was trying to warm my fingers before I get on this obstacle, and the obstacles crank it up. So for those of you who don't
Oh,
know, it's like large ratchets, and you have to like throw your body and lock them into place at the top.
mm.
And there was 3 of them in a row, and the last one was the one that I get to, and I'm at the top of the apex. I locked it in, and the last move before you get off for the dismount is a 7-foot drop. It was like
Yeah.
4 foot out, 7 foot down. So
Oh,
it was basically at my shins.
oh,
And what they didn't show from like the quick clip of my run was I actually tried to lâcher 3 times off those handles to the grab, and my hands were so cold.
oh,
Like
God.
I wasn't even pumped, but my hands were so cold. I physically wasn't able to open them.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
I had to throw my body momentum so hard to the point where my hands like literally ripped off the bar, and I threw to the next handle for the catch, and my hand was like this. It was flat like a board. So literally slapped the handles and
Oh,
couldn't get my hand to close because it just was so cold, like it wasn't working. And
oh,
like I just when I fell in the water, it was such a like letdown because I was that close to my first buzzer. I'm like, the
oh,
warp wall, are you kidding me? Like that's not an obstacle for like for someone who's 6'2" and been doing ninja for this long. So like
oh,
that was it. That was my buzzer, and I saw it in my like right there, and failed because of it was cold. I failed because my hands were
oh.
cold.
That is the worst.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
but
that
but
is horrible.
but it was a good enough run to get me into the city finals. I think I was somewhere in like the top. It was like it wasn't a good like really fast time. I was just trying to clear,
Mm.
so I was like somewhere in like I was definitely in the top 30. It was like 20 something. It was definitely not my best time that night,
Oh, man.
but
That what a
yeah,
what a build up. That's crazy. So
yeah, it was wild.
so you're probably feeling relieved. You're through. You're competing the next night.
Yep.
How did you go? Did you clear that one?
So no, actually, no one cleared that one. Arguably the hardest city finals in I would say all of Ninja.
Was this Baltimore?
Like it was, yeah, it was
Oh
just
yeah.
ruthless. Like that was Angry Birds, and I mean, what was crazy about it is to think that like after Angry Birds was Kane Lane, which
Oh,
mind you was appeared in stage 3 of the Las Vegas finals as one of the last obstacles. So like, oh, it's okay. Like here we are. We get the Kane Lane as our obstacle 9 after arguably one of the most difficult obstacles in Ninja history, Angry Birds. Like, what were you thinking? Like, you know. So I remember it was a race. Again, here's a really funny story for you. But like, right before I ran that night, you know, I had like Henry and Eric, my business partner from Monstro, there with me in the sidelines waiting. And I was talking to like Joe Moravsky and Jamie Ron, and I remember I saw Jamie's cape like on the side, and I took my cape off, and I put my cape next to his, and I was like, I need to harness some energy from your cape to help me, like, you know, to get some good luck here. And then Joe Joe had just ran like prior to my run, and he was on the sidelines, and like I said, I have like this like I always want to beat Joe.
yeah.
And like without like saying exactly the way I said it, because I might have used like an expletive, but I was like, I'm gonna beat your time, you know, like I'm gonna take you down, right? And like I really like I needed to motivate myself big time. Like I've never been to city finals, like, and like here I am, I need to show myself, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted it, you know. And I remember the night before, or that no, excuse me, that morning, I got a phone call from James McGrath. And I was like, James is like a legend. Like when it comes to like obstacle beta and like understanding like movement and like he's just like on another level. Like in my opinion, probably one of the all-time best. Like I think he still holds the most ever city finals wins.
Wow.
I think at 4. But he called me that morning and we were talking about beta, and he's like, Lucio, listen, dude, you're strong and you have long arms. Like you took way too long on obstacle 3. Like move through that much faster. Like that's like your wheelhouse. Just like big moves, just go through it. And like, he just like went through like what I should be doing, and like based on like my abilities, like
Mm.
coached me through like that morning on like what I should be doing.
Mm.
And honestly, like I really owe a lot of that, like that technique that I used that night to him, because like pulling through, like I just kept thinking to myself, like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And like having that, like, I'm going to do this, and knowing like I have the confidence, I'm going to make that move. And like, I was just motoring through so fast. And I just remember like, all right, here I am, I'm on Crank It Up, crushing through it. The minute I got up that warp wall, I'm like, oh my God, the salmon ladder's right there. And I'm like, I've never done the salmon ladder on the show before. Like super intimidating. Like all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, I've never done this, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember hit the trampoline and my hands touched the salmon ladder bar. And it was like somebody like drained the energy from my life.
Oh
It was just
no.
like powered me down. Like I just like died, right?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I think I went so hard for the first couple obstacles
Yeah.
to that point, because I knew it was a race. I'm like, I got to get to Angry Birds as fast as I can.
Mm.
And when I touch a salmon bar, I'm like, I'm in for the fight of my life.
Oh my
So I
God.
just remember I'm powering up the salmon ladder, and like they showed the clip from that episode, and like at one point, one of my hands peeled off, and I was down to like 2 fingers, like this on the salmon ladder bar, and I like managed to like pull it together, and
Yeah.
I just remember hearing Henry screaming at me, like just like, you gotta like go for it. And I'm like, he was like just such a good like voice in my ear, like like pushing me, right? Because he's my biggest training partner, like always motivating me and pushing me. It's like you have that on the sidelines, like really instilling it. And I'm like, it felt like I was on the salmon ladder, no joke, Kadeem, for like an hour and a half.
Oh my
And like,
goodness.
but like I feel like the whole course up until the salmon ladder was the same amount of time I spent on the salmon ladder. And I remember I get up to the top, and in rules, we're allowed to have, as long as you have one side of the bar on the top of that 4th rung,
Yeah.
you're good. And I forgot that rule.
Oh
And
no.
so I had it, right? And I was about to go and make to try to like fix it.
Mm.
And I probably would have failed. But Henry again comes, he like literally swoops in, guardian angel Henry, like just, you're good, let's go. You're like, I'm not kidding you. Like he's the reason I made it to Vegas. Like not even kidding you. If he didn't say that, my dumb self would have made the move and fallen in the water.
Oh my
But
goodness.
I just remember touching the platform, touching Angry Birds, and being like, all right, realistically, I'm not even going to be able to do anything
Doesn't
else.
matter.
So I waited for like a couple, like 15 seconds, and I made the first move on Angry Birds, which I was like shocked. I'm like, how did that even happen? But then after that, I was so pumped. There was like no way even possible to get through. But I remember I got out of the pool and I did my sidelines interview, and Christine said like at that point that I had made Vegas, and it was just like the
Wow.
amount of emotion was like just so wild. Like Henry and Eric like lifted me up off the ground, and it's like 2 6'4" dudes that are just like picking me up in the air. Like it was epic. And like my dad was there crying, and then, like my mom, and it was such a good feeling like all around to like know what it felt like to like have that success, even though I didn't clear, but like to feel like what it felt like. Oh my God, like this is it, I made it to Vegas.
Oh
um
man.
and I think I wound up I got 7th or 8th place. It's a little controversial. I
Ooh.
I actually did beat Joe
I was gonna
Morosky.
say, did you beat him? Yeah.
I did beat him, but you know, some might say that that he, you know, he got some producers on his side to bump his time a little bit. But you know, it's
Well,
all good. It's all good. It's all good, Joe. I love you.
we'll put it on the record, Joe. If you ever listen to this, you were beaten.
Listen, it's a
The one
small
time.
victory because for the one time I might have beaten Joe Morosky by 2 seconds or whatever the hell it was. You know, for the 9 million times that he's been better than me.
Oh man, look, Lucio, you're such a good storyteller. It sounds like a movie. Like we're just reaching like just the pinnacle part. It's
Oh,
so
I
good.
appreciate. I hope I don't like make it like Game of Thrones and just like shit the bed on the ending.
So now we reach Vegas. The
Yes.
lights are lit. You're at the pinnacle of ninja. This is it. This is the spectacle of ninja probably around the world, other than Sasuke in Japan. Take me through it, man.
Oh wow, it was quite the experience. Like just taking it all in and like being there and like I just remember like doing the B-roll and like being in the Luxor and there's just the grandeur of like seeing Mount Midoriyama in person. Like I refused for all the time. Like everybody would go there and test and whatever. I'm like, I refuse to go there unless I earn myself a ticket to go there. And
Mm.
like, I remember like when I boarded the plane to go there and like not I couldn't tell like anybody except for my boss at the time when I was like I had to like leave and like this being like so secretive and like yeah I'm going to
Yeah.
Vegas and like and just like they're just so surreal and like the whole thing and then like being there with all the other athletes and just like behind the scenes stuff and yeah like seeing Mount Midoriyama in person though was just like it was like a pilgrimage to like the Mecca. Like you're like, this is it. Like this is the real deal. I mean, aside from like Sasuke in Japan, I mean, like this is what we live for.
Mm. Oh man.
So
And what was the
absolutely epic.
and what was the course like? I mean, obviously, Vegas. It's go big or
Oh,
go home.
I mean, absolutely ruthless. I mean, it was wrecking people left and right. Like obstacle one, pretty easy, standard agility, archer steps, just going right through them.
Mm.
Not too bad. Obstacle two though, wow. Uh, what an obstacle. I
That was
mean,
the basket, wasn't it?
yeah, and I remember them giving like when we saw the dismount platform, like, are you serious? Like in previous years, the dismount platform was like an island. Like here, dismount onto the continent of Australia. Like that was the friggin' dismount platform, right? And then this year they're like, oh, you guys like that dismount platform? Here's a 4 by 3 foot platform. You're like, bruh, I'm coming off a crooked ass barrel toss to this little ass platform.
And it's like this, isn't it? Too. It's like like.
Yeah, it's angled. So I kid you not, how many ninjas like like, dude. When I saw Brett Sims fail that obstacle, I was like, oh my god, what? Oh my god! Like, I was so nervous, and like I just remember like thinking to myself like you have to commit and like time it perfectly to stick that
Mm.
landing. And I just remember when I stuck that landing, I was like, oh my god, I got to do the double dipper now? Like, are you serious? The double dipper, like the obstacle that's taken out like Joe Morosky, Flip Rodriguez, like some of the greatest of all time have failed this damn obstacle, and here I am on this obstacle, right? A little behind the scenes. They don't talk about this stuff, but we actually all got to test the obstacle the night before, and
Ooh.
and I failed it. All right, I failed it on my first attempt. It was super embarrassing in front of all of your peers, right? You fail the damn obstacle. And I'm like, oh my God, it was in my head all night. I'm like, I'm
Oh.
going to get this obstacle. I'm going to fail it because I did tonight. And I remember I had an amazing talk with, again, another incredible Sean Darling Hammond is like he's the best speaker of like all time. Like dude is a legend. Like he just knows how to like he turns words into just like magic.
Wow.
Like he just knows how to say things and like he was just talking me through it and like made me feel so much better about the situation and like how to approach it for the next night. And again, huge thank you to Sean for that. And yeah, I remember stepping up to that obstacle and being like looking down it. It's in my career, it's the most intimidating obstacle I've ever touched, just because it's so large, the scale of it just so long, and
Mm.
you're so high up, and it's intimidating. So I just remember looking down the barrel of that beast, and like, there's no like, you can't fix things. Like you
No.
have to commit. It's
Mm.
just like boom, 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 like
Mm.
reaction. So I remember I hit the first one, grabbed it, and I'm like, oh my God, I did it. Like I'm on the next one. Throw to the dismount and landed. And like at that moment, like it was like somebody like Men in Black, like somebody was like erased my mind. I didn't even like, I couldn't fathom that I beat the obstacle I thought I was gonna fail. And then I realized, like in like a quick second, I was like, oh shit, there's a clock ticking that I have to like run. So like immediately I jump into the jumping spider like as fast as possible.
Mm.
Great hit, like hit the trampoline textbook.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big dude, not hard. I know how to use a trampoline. Hit it, go into the wall, and like worst nightmare, right? I have the
Oh.
worst flexibility. So I have to do the stanky leg, right?
Mm.
So for those of you who don't know, that's like kind of like a cockeyed stance with your legs. I'm taller and I had bad hip flexibility. So, I popped my arms in and my legs just didn't follow them.
Oh.
I was really good in the shoot, like really textbook,
Mm.
distance in, but didn't open the arms and legs at the same time. And this is an obstacle I've done like hundreds of times in
Mm.
practice. Like it's not something I'm like, alien to,
Mm.
but just didn't do it in that time. And it's all right. I mean, my season ended there, and I honestly like, I look back on it and like, I honestly feel that I could have cleared that course with the only one that was like that 50-50 was those terrible diving boards. Like the one thing I was like horrified of was like falling and like on my face and like ripping my mustache off on one of those steps, because they literally had like the most ridiculous like textured sandpaper grip on them, and I'm like, if I fell on that thing and like ripped my mustache off, I would like, what would I even do? Like I just cry.
Your identity would be just ripped away.
I literally, so I'm like, maybe it was a good thing that I failed like on the jumping spider, and like maybe it was an omen.
Oh, who
But
knows?
but man, the whole experience like after that was incredible. Like I got to do a lot of the dirty shots for the like, so basically wearing a black t-shirt and doing all of the demos for the skills with my good friend Connor Galvin, who's also on Team Monstro. And we were doing a lot of the skills demos, which was epic, and trying all of those out was so fun. Um, and then like just the experience overall, like after like the win in Vegas for like all of the ninjas, like having like a nice party together and going
Mm.
out to the clubs, and like, Matt Eisman and all the other like, Akbar wasn't there that night in the after party at the one club, but Matt came and like a lot of the producers were there. It was just so cool to just be like hanging out with them and like the producers, like what, like this is so cool. Like I would, like, you don't get that experience unless you're there in Vegas.
Of
So
course, just a big party and you want to be there.
although
Oh,
I really wish Akbar was there, because like Akbar is such a cool dude, and like
you
I
got a
love
corner.
watching his like Instagram stories, and like he's just so funny. So I could only imagine like if he was there, it would have been like that much better.
Oh, the dance floor would have probably been just destroyed.
Just lit.
Well, there is a positive out of all this. You officially beat Joe Morosky.
Yeah.
On the record.
One time in city finals by like a few seconds. That's it.
But didn't you say he didn't get through the
No, that was a prior year. He
Oh,
Yeah, that was season 10 that he failed that obstacle. And then they altered it. So that year he
oh
destroyed
yeah, of
me in
course. He made it
Vegas.
to stage
Yeah,
three,
he
didn't he?
Yeah, and then
Oh
he
yeah, I mean,
on the cane.
yeah,
Yeah, you're only human, right? On the cane lane, yeah, he like somehow made that like ridiculous catch on the side, but like
that's right.
it like yeah, he would have been if he had made that. No doubt in my mind, he also would have been on the rope climb. I mean,
Mm.
it was that's just like one of those like freak things. But yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
he destroyed me on that stuff, you know. But
Oh,
my one little tiny victory on city finals.
that's all right. We'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. What was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought. Darn, that's okay. Um, so yeah, what was the big takeaway from Vegas?
Well, it left me really hungry. I'll tell you that much. Like I want to go back there and prove that like oh man, like I know like I could do more damage than what was done. Absolutely. Like I want to know what it's like again, but I think the biggest pressure like as an athlete, like knowing you've made the finals,
Mm.
now it kind of puts me in this weird predicament where I'm like the next year I'm like more nervous because I feel like I'm holding myself to like this higher pedestal, like I have to achieve this again. So
Mm.
it's like more, I don't know if it's good pressure or not because I haven't competed again after. So I guess if I get recasted again for this season, which I really need to get my ass in gear because the video's due in like a friggin' week and I haven't
Oh
really
yeah,
done anything.
yeah. You got 10 days, I
Um,
think.
yeah, so yeah, that needs to get done. But if I do get lucky enough to get casted again, I don't know how that's going to translate. I mean, I like I said, I'm definitely I want it again, but that pressure is real high after feeling what it's like to like, you know, arguably that year was the hardest year to qualify for Vegas because instead of the top 15 plus two females, it was the top 12 plus two females plus Power Tower winner.
Oh yeah.
So instead, so now it went from. I remember when the producer said that, I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" Like, as if top 15 wasn't hard enough. So like to make in my eyes, like for me, like I was like, wow, like I felt so honored. Like top 12 in like the depth of talent that was in that region
Mm.
was just remarkable and like really like honestly like so humbled to be a part of that experience. It was just such an honor to be there, and like I wouldn't give that up for anything. It was epic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was just thinking about what you're saying about the pressure. I mean, it's been a while since I've competed, so I haven't felt that that I guess pressure in a long time. But I think I've realized, especially after was it 2019, so the Connecticut World Championship, that I think as long as you have a game plan, I found that as long as I have a game plan, I will do as well as I can. As long as if I don't focus on I want to reach this big goal because it's obvious we all want to reach that goal. But if I just
Step by
stay
step.
step by step, just stay within the you know just
Yep.
climbing one step at a time, one step at a time, one step,
Obstacle
one
by
course.
obstacle. Yep.
Yeah, I have found that's kept me very, very, at least doing local comps, that's kept me very well grounded and confident. And I mean, if I get that opportunity, and I don't think I'll be, I mean, I still have my video. I could probably submit again for US, but with travel at the moment and everything, and I don't think it'll be possible. So I'll have to wait.
Well, we would love to have you. I want to see you on the course. I mean,
And
tearing it up.
I was devastated. To be quite fair, I was quite sick. I think our day, as glorious as it was, I think that day ruined me. It was like,
I really put you through the ringer.
oh man, that was literally a full 24 hours of being awake, and then it was yeah that I was done until basically I got home.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, so it was absolutely savage. I don't know what the course would have been like, but knowing how they would have upped the ante, it would have been a soul destroyer.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, but so you are a champion in other ways. So what is the story of the mustache?
So the full story, or like just recently? I mean, because I would say it's quite long. But yeah, so like I mean, going back like as far as I can remember, my grandfather on my father's side, he always had a handlebar mustache, and I was like, my father doesn't have one, but I was like, maybe I could do that, and it was kind of like a joke in college to see if I could grow one.
Yeah.
Um, so like now this like I always had like a mustache, like a normal mustache, like for a long time, like when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then like into college, I was like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna grow it out, wax it, whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was hysterical. And I used to get in trouble with like my school because I went to a culinary university, and the facial hair was against policy. Well, I looked at the policy and it said facial hair above the upper lip, and I'm like, yo, it's above my upper lip. You see, it's above. And like so I made a loophole, and when I graduated, they actually changed the rule to state no handlebar mustaches. So like that exists because of me, right? But yeah, so like I remember, so long story, like back to the actual mustache and how I became like a champion with growing a mustache. I went to a local comp, like nothing big time, in Brooklyn, New York. It was my first ever time. I'm like, I want to try like competing. I want to see what this is like.
Mm.
And I went out there and I met a bunch of really awesome people, like facial hair people, beards, mustaches, everything. And this one guy, this one judge, he goes, let me tell you something. He's like, come over here. And I was like, what's this guy going to tell me? Like, I don't know what I'm like, this is really awkward. And he's like, you see that right there? And he's like pointing at my mustache, like really like intently.
Mm.
And it was like all of this hair right here. He's like, stop shaving that. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, don't trim the hairs in the inside of your mustache anymore. He's like, it makes it really thin, and like it looks like flat there. Like you need to let that grow thicker so you could have a better, like fuller look and like longer hairs. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, if you do that, he's like, you're gonna win championships. And I was like, okay. And like I remember like I lost that night. Like I did not place. I went home. I went to work the next day, and at the time I was working for a catering hall, and my boss hated my mustache. Right? It's like you need to. He always told me I need to cut it off. So he's like, you need to cut it off. And I'm like, shit. Like it was like almost like an ultimatum. And I was like, all right, I guess it's a good time to start it over, right? So I cut it off. So some time went by, and I think it was like I always remember because it's July 4th is like the
Mm.
birthday of my mustache, right? So it's kind of funny. Um, July 4th, I quit working there,
What
and I
year?
started. This is like 5 years ago, I think,
Okay.
5-ish years ago, maybe 6 now.
Yeah.
I'd have to look. I always forget because it's been so damn long. But July 4th, I quit. And I was like, I'm growing my goddamn mustache, and I'm never working a job again that tells me how I can have a mustache. So I went full force. And I mean, like, I did not trim it, I don't shave it, nothing. Only time I'll ever take a scissor is to like maybe one or two hairs. And it's like if I'm doing a big, serious competition,
Mm.
like a nationals or a worlds. So my first big competition was the national championships. I think it was 2016 in Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm.
So went down there with my dad. We had a great old time in Nashville. And I took away second place in English mustache, which is like pin straight pulled out to the side. And I'm like,
Wow.
dang, I took second. I'm like, that's really good. I was really happy. Like I podiumed for my first ever time. Maybe I'm on to something. All right, cool. So now it's 2017. Whole year later, I'm feeling great. Like I'm living the mustache life. Like this stuff, it's at like the peak. Like people stop me and like they're like, "Dude, you have like this epic mo," and I'm like, like I was loving it, right? Ego on an all-time high.
Mustache life.
Like right, like I just love it. Like people just stop you and they're like all into it, and like some people make jokes and like who cares? Like I don't care if
Yeah.
you don't like it, too bad. Like whatever,
Yeah.
right? Not your face. So I fly out to Texas, Austin, Texas, right, for the World Beard and Mustache Championships, my first ever World Championships. And I'm like, I'm gonna compete in English and I'm gonna win. And I was like real confident, right? I went there. I wore my American Ninja Warrior outfit, and I'm like, oh, I'm coming at them with the ninja outfit too. Like they can't deny this, right? Like I was loving it,
Yeah.
and then I didn't even podium. To say I was devastated was like I got fourth place, right? I was really
Oh,
so I was really close to podiuming in my first ever world championships. And I was like, I looked over at my buddies who won. First of all, the guy who I lost to, uh, Patrick Fetty, is an absolute legend. Dude is literally 4-time reigning world English mustache champion. So
oh
he
wow.
has currently been world champion for 8 years running.
Wow.
So he's the most winningest United States champion, I believe, or something like that. But I just remember like looking at his English, and I was like, I can never do this category ever again. I'm not going to beat him. So I'm like, I'm not going to win. So like, I guess in the sense of like losing to him
Mm,
made me discover a new category that I was really good at.
okay.
So that's when I discovered the freestyle mustache category. So now it brings us to 2018. Back at it was the Great American Beard and Mustache Championship. So this is like equivalent to like the North American Championships, so like all of North America. And so I competed in that, and I did an homage to my mother, who's a breast cancer survivor, and I styled my mustache to look like a breast cancer ribbon. And I
Okay.
did it on both sides. Like, so there was a ribbon on both sides, and I themed the whole outfit. So like, this is something I started doing now. I'm like, I learned from like looking at other competitors that the judges like to see like a whole like get up like that, like goes with your
Mm,
theme. So I had like this silver outfit on, the top hat. I had like the breast cancer ribbons on my lapel,
mm,
and I won. So I took home the
wow.
first place in my first. That was my first ever big win in a big championship. So I was like, wow, this is really awesome. I'm now the North American champion. This is so awesome. I was on a big high. So then here comes world championships back around again. So this time flying out all the way to Belgium. So I
Wow.
flew out to Belgium, Antwerp, Belgium, and I've never flown to Europe before. So I went solo. It was kind of intimidating, and I went out there with this game plan. I practiced how I was going to do my mustache. I did all this research looking into other people's styles over the years. No
Mm.
one had ever done 8 curls in a mustache. I'm like,
Oh
I'm going
wow.
for it. I'm going to do 8 curls. I'm going to pull out the octo stash. So I themed my whole ensemble was gold. I'm like, you want to win? You want first place? What do you want? You want to win the gold, right? I'm going gold. I'm going to represent how I want to win. Feel
Yeah.
good, look good, win.
100%.
So I every little detail. I made a custom made walking stick with a golden octopus. I put like little fake rubies for the eyes. I made like a custom octopus lapel pin. Like I had glasses that were shaped like octagons, so they had like 8 sides. Like
Wow.
every little detail I thought out. And then the day of, I'd spent 6 hours that morning styling it. So every little hair was perfectly in line. 8 curls,
Wow.
4 on each side. And I went there, and like I just felt like I knew I wanted to win. And I just like it must be like what like it feels like when you're a top level athlete, like Michael Jordan going for like the championship when he played for the Bulls. Like I'm going there to win. And I
Oh
went
yeah.
out there that day. I went out there that day to win. And I went up against one of the best all time facial hair growers in multiple categories. This man has won so many. His name is Jeffrey Mustache is how he goes by is his name. But this guy's won numerous world titles. And when I saw him in my category, I started getting nervous. Like, and I saw his style, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be really close. And when I edged out Jeffrey Mustache, I
Wow.
was like, when I won, I literally collapsed to my knees on this stage, and I was like so floored that I won. I couldn't like you won like the world title. Like you are the champion in your category. Like to feel what that felt like was just unreal. And I just never forget, like I came out of the event and I called my girlfriend and my mom and dad and like told them that I won. And like, of course, like I pick something that doesn't win me like, all the riches and
Yeah,
fame and everything, but
doesn't
it's
matter.
all about it's all about the bragging rights and the feel good. And the best part about it is all of these competitions that we do, um, at least especially in the United States, they all come under the National Beard and Mustache. Oh God, I can't remember the whole thing. It's like a big acronym, but
Yeah.
like that one year they raised over $500,000 for various charities across the United States.
Oh, awesome.
So collectively, all of these beard and mustache competitions are for charity.
Wow.
So although we don't profit from them, it's for a good cause, and that's a lot of times like we love to get together and hang out all of our friends, and it's for a good cause. Um, but then after the Worlds, I didn't stop there. I was on a hot streak. I'm North American champion. I'm world champion.
Wow.
Screw it. Let's take the triple. Right, we're going all the way. Triple crown. I want the national title. So here it goes. I drive all the way out to Chicago. I'm like, I'm going for the nationals. We got to go big, baby. So
Mm.
I went peacock themed. I'm like, I'm making my mustache a peacock.
Wow.
So I adorned it with little feathers, and I curled it up. My whole suit, I had a staff with a peacock feather plume in it. My hat had peacock feathers. I had a custom suit jacket made with peacock feathers. My shoes were colored peacock rhinestones. Like, I'm not kidding you. It was like to the T, to the T, like every little bell and whistle, like dawned, right? So, luckily, again, I was able to pull off a victory and won. So
Wow.
now I walked away with, and I'm currently still the North American, world, and national U.S. champion in for all three in freestyle mustache.
Wow. Amazing.
So it's a good feeling to
Hell
still
yeah.
have those titles. So, but we'll see because I competed online for the nationals recently, um, and it's going to be interesting to see how the online factor is because it's different with the judges being able to see the detail. But I did submit,
Mm.
and I'll actually be finding out the same day that the A&W submission is due, December 14th. I'll
Ooh.
know if I retain my title for. I know I'm a finalist. I know I made the finals because they put that info out there. So fingers crossed for me that I retain my U.S. national title. And I'm not revealing the style I did. I did a little
No,
teaser a
no,
while
that's
back
fair.
on
Can't do
Instagram,
that.
but
Can't do that.
it's epic, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. And I hope I take home the W.
I have no doubt you will, man. How many people have done the have done all three? Are you the only
I
one?
don't. I honestly don't know. It's tough to know because there's so many categories. Like in
Mm.
mustache alone, I think there's 7 categories. There's natural, there's English, there's imperial, there's Hungarian, there's freestyle, there's Dali. So I think there's six styles maybe. And then like beard, forget it. There's like another like 20 styles.
Oh, geez.
So it's hard to know like across like every category, like across all of time, like who if anybody's ever held all three simultaneously.
Mm.
But like I was never like something that I outright set out to do. But
Mm.
when I won the world title, I'll be damned. Like I was like I'm winning it like everything now. Like I want them all, and like I mean, the next Worlds for me was supposed to actually have been New Zealand,
Yes, that's
in
right.
March of this year, but that is not happening. So it's going to be 2023. So I actually
Ooh.
get to hold my title for 2 more years. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Pulled a little Teddy Roosevelt U.S. history right there, just keeping my title a little longer. Um, but yeah, so but I can't wait to go out to New Zealand and compete there. I have no idea what I'm gonna do for my style, but I want to be like I want to win twice. I want to know what it feels like to be a 2-time world champion. Like you can't just stop now, right? Like the
Oh,
best, the
man.
greatest of all time in any sport. Like you can't just get one championship. It's like, do you want to be like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan? Do you want to be like, do you want to win them all? Ronnie Coleman, the best bodybuilder all time, like 8-time. Like you just got to keep going. When you're in your prime, don't stop.
100%. 100%. to be fair though, with Roddy Coleman now, I don't want to be like how he is now. I think he's fallen apart, but you know,
I feel bad for
but
the man, but
but
he was a legend. He was a legend in his days for
yeah,
sure.
100%. I know we were talking before about some different mustaches on other ninjas. So, who do you think would look good with a mustache or a beard? Who do you,
Oh
who-
man, I mean, I know we've brought his name up an awful lot tonight during this talk. I mean, I look up to this man a lot, but I would love to see Joe Mo Mo as in mustache Rofsky. I would love to see this. I would love to see Joe grow one. Maybe next year from November, for the month of November. Just for the 1 month, we could get him to try to grow a mustache. Like that would be epic. I want to see. He's usually pretty baby faced, but I'd love it. What do you think, Kadeem? You think he could do it?
oh, look, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it would suit him. I mean, I think the baby face look is probably his thing. I don't know, but is he capable? That I don't know.
I don't know. It takes a lot to rock a mustache. Let me tell you. Like this is a direct shot. Shots have been fired, Joe. You need to grow a mustache for Movember. Like I'm gonna write to the Movember campaign and tell them that Joe Moravsky is growing a mustache for November to raise awareness for men's health. And you better do it, my friend. I want to see that thing. Furry caterpillar. Let's see what it looks like. Grow it out.
I do hope he. I don't know if he actually listens to these, but if not, just put him in anyway. He just gets this letter. What? I didn't sign up for this.
Surprise.
Oh man, dude, it's been so epic. I love the way you told your journey. It was like listening to, or in my head, this like watching a movie. It was such an epic build up, and I think it's not the end. It's not the end for you, man. I do think you're going to do very well next season if you get the chance. Hopefully, it's
I
not this
appreciate it.
COVID season. Hopefully it's actually you get to go to Vegas and not stay in a hotel, and then
Yeah.
the obstacles look
I mean,
sick.
I'd be honored to just to be back and just compete like again, regardless of what the season looks like. It's just a lot of fun to like see your friends and compete
Oh
on a
yeah.
big stage, and I mean, it would be a big honor. I would agree. Like the show this year was kind of flat for me. I was definitely a little salty after losing my casting call. Really wanting to compete again, but yeah, I mean, I really would love to see it again and be out there, regardless of the situation.
Oh, 100%. Who so obviously, Daniel absolutely crushed it. Who do you think besides Daniel might be the next three ninjas? And obviously we can we'll include you, but if we're to take you out, who do you think are the
Oh
next top
man,
three ninjas after him that could potentially win?
wow, that is a loaded
Oh yeah.
question.
Oh yeah.
There are okay, so let's break it down. Let me put it this way. I'm gonna pick one OG ninja.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you one underrated, in my eyes, underrated ninja,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna give you one up and coming young star that could potentially just like blow the socks off everybody.
Yep, I
And
like it.
That's hard because there's like 9,000 of these kids that are just like
Yeah, true that.
way better than all of us. So I don't know, but so I'm just gonna just start throwing them out there. So
All right.
I think from an OG perspective, um, it it's really tough to say, but like maybe like a deadlock. I'd love to see Joe up there, or I'd love to see Jamie Ron.
Mm-hmm.
The two of them have just been at it for so long, and it would be really great to see either one of them take the W. They
Mm-hmm.
both have what it takes, absolutely 100%, and to see that would be great. Um, all right, so my underdog pick, somebody who's like absolutely like I don't think they're an underdog anymore. They've been like really crushing the scene, and like A&W is putting them on the spotlight a
Mm.
lot.
Mm.
But Lucas Reale
Oh
is an
yeah.
absolute monster.
Good choice.
He's so good, and I feel like on any given day, he can take that crown and he can win it all. He's
Mm,
so good. He's consistently made it to Vegas like every time he's competed.
mm,
And last year, the year before when it was Vegas, made it all the way to stage 3.
mm.
Um, Definitely, like, I still look at him as being like an underdog because he's not like, like the most well-known, highly touted, but like, man, is he ever a superstar.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
talented, and he could totally take it all.
Absolutely.
Um, all right, so now we talk about the youth of the sport.
Some
There's so many of them.
it's a bloody
Uh,
15-year-old.
there's so many of them out there that are just absolutely monsters that could crush it. Um, I might have to give you my top 3 just for them, because it's so hard. But like, um, Joseph Meisner. Oh
No,
my God, Joseph Meisner, like, legendary grip, like, just phenomenal athlete, so good.
that's
Um,
crazy.
that's one. All
Yep.
right, I would have to say, Jay Lewis,
Oh,
also
yeah.
known as Jay Lachey.
Yeah.
Kid has impeccable technique, not afraid to throw big moves, commit to things. I mean, that kid is a force.
Mm,
Um, Absolutely. And then, outside of those two, I'd have to say Vance Walker is just a beast. Such a beast. Um, Throwing it down for the Southeast Ninja crew. I mean, super strong. And so yeah, I mean, and again, that's like, there's so many other top level, like, let's also talk about for a second there, like, Addie Herman for the females from the youth.
yeah,
Woo!
there's some girls coming up.
She she is insane, so strong, right?
Yeah.
And also, like, a big shout out to, like, one of my monster teammates, Abby Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started. I think Abby Clark has what it takes to dominate. Like, she is a beast. Like,
Mm.
when her and Joe are training, like, they make stuff just like look so easy. You try it and you're like, I need to start training more.
Oh man, I love watching them train. I'll hopefully next time when I come back, I'll stay a little longer and we'll hopefully travel
Oh
around.
yeah, we'll bring you
And
through the whole circuit.
oh man, that'd be my dream. Just for 6 weeks, just travel. I mean, there's so many places you could go to. Like it was just in that week period, trying to refine that trip in 6 days.
It's like
Just trying to work
impossible.
out where to go. Oh man, that was hard.
I think you took a good slice out of everything, though. Honestly, like, you picked some phenomenal locations to stay and some great people to hang out with. I mean, you couldn't
100
have done better.
100%, man. That was. I mean, look, despite not competing, the trip was phenomenal. Like, I was blessed. I was blessed. I felt bad because obviously I was raising money for that. But I think what I really learned is, especially that night training with you and Joe and Connor, I learned, man, I'm really not good at, these change of direction, catching things sideways. Like there were so many things I realized, like, man, I'm really bad at this stuff. And like I really need to double down on my body awareness because especially after this season, watching Nate from Colorado,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, okay, this dude is my height. I think his arms are probably twice as long as mine though, but he is just he is an animal. And I'm like, yo,
Beast, right?
there's no excuse, man. Like if he can be that good and clean at my height, I got to step it up.
Oh, you got this. You got this for
Oh
sure.
man, bro, I think it's been a good 90 minutes, man. I'm really enjoying. We could probably keep going, but I'm sure you want to do other stuff. And you got to check on your frogs, and we didn't even talk about that.
keep keep it going. Keep it going.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
frogs are all at sleep at this point, so they're
oh, are
good.
they?
They're all tucked in for the night. Yeah.
Well, I'll stop the actual podcast and we can keep chatting. But thank you so much, man, for jumping on. This has been
Absolutely. It was a
absolutely epic,
pleasure.
man.
And if you do have a chance, we're going to be putting out. There's a Monstro versus Sen City. We're throwing
Ooh,
down the best athletes from Team Monstro versus Team Sen City, and
ooh,
it's going to be coming out on Ninjaverse TV, so it's a YouTube channel. So it's going to be coming out probably early next year. So stay tuned for that. We're hosting the competition this weekend.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it's going to be, there's some top level athletes going head to head. It's going to be an epic throwdown. So
That's
that
sick.
video is going to be out Ninjaverse TV and on YouTube. So stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely link them. I haven't spoken to Mike in ages. I have to link up with him and try and get him on and talk. Just do a cross double podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Right, that's good. It's a good idea.
Oh man. All right, well I'll cut the recording and we can chat. But
All
thank
right,
you so much for jumping on, bro.
absolutely.